Thank you. And so we're gonna move into a feature demo. If you could just go to the next slide. Yeah, perfect. So the feature that we're going to go into today is the change order. So it's been discussed in the group already. The reason why change happens, and it happens quite frequently really, is because of information that wasn't previously available, because somebody's changed their mind. For a lot of different reasons, change will happen during a project. We're going to go over how to create a change order in Houzz Pro, how you share this change order with your clients, how you can keep track of these change orders in Houzz Pro, and finally, just look at it from a client's perspective. So what is it that they'd be able to see? If it's okay, Lorenzo, I'm going to ask you to stop sharing. And I'm going to take over. So everyone can see my screen, correct?
Yes, perfect. Yes.
Great. So as I mentioned before, this is a build feature of Houzz Pro, and it is the change orders. The way that you can create them in Houzz Pro, you have two different ways. You'll notice on the left-hand side, there's a change orders button right here, and you can just create one from scratch. So if there's any change to the scope of the project, for example, there's additional work that needs to be done that wasn't included originally, you can just create a change order document, and that's how you're going to register it and share it with the client. The second way that you can do it is, and it happens quite frequently, is you sent across the first estimate to your client. So I'm going to go ahead and open an estimate on Houzz Pro. Let's say you've detailed out the scope of the project, what it's going to cover, what's included. Again, right now we're at the estimate stage, but let's say this has been approved by your client. So they've agreed. And this is where the difference really comes into place. Once they've approved it, once something has been agreed, but still there's a change in the scope of the project. So what can you do there once it has been approved? From the approved estimate in Houzz Pro, you simply go, let's say, for example, the client has changed their mind in terms of what items they wanted to purchase. Maybe initially they just said the things that they needed, but they hadn't specified, from which vendor or which material. So for whatever different reason, they've actually changed their mind, or with your expertise and, a vendor that you partner with, maybe you've reached a different conclusion to what was originally agreed. What you can do from here is you simply select on the line items that have changed. So you'll notice when I clicked on them, if you look here at the top, to the top of my document, there's a button that says create change order. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that one. And it takes me through to this change order document. So if you're familiar with Houzz Pro, you would have seen a proposal or an estimate or an invoice. It follows that same document layout format. So the header here, those text drop downs that you have, and the section for the items. What's different here, because it's a change order, you're going to specify what has changed for these specific line items. And changes can happen in two different ways, right? So first of all, there might have been an increase in the price associated to that change. So let's say that for this sink, it's the cost that's gone up because they've selected a different sink. So simply go into the cost and you can manually update it. The second way that things can change is maybe there's been a decrease in the price. Maybe, for example, we went for a lower cost option. So in that case, really, it works in the same way. You see at the top what the original price was, and in the second row, what you can do is you can amend it. And actually, in this case, if it's lower, you can just reduce the price. Just to do it one more time so it's crystal clear, this is the line item. In the first row, it's the original pricing. In the second row, it's going to be the amended or updated pricing or quantity. So I know for the faucet, typically you only have one, but let's say it's a really big sink and you're actually going to update the quantity. You can do either or. You can always update quantity, or you can update cost, or do both.
Question, please.
Yeah, of course.
I'm looking at this and this is fantastic, except that this spreadsheet initially would be an estimate. And if something's gone up, that's an exact price. So I'm wondering the difference between the estimate and the actual cost of the job, because I normally do an Excel sort of estimate. And then I have another column where when we know what the exact cost that they've chosen of the sink or the worktops or whatever it goes in, so we can see exactly how it's changing as we go along that way. But this is mixing up real cost and estimate, right?
So what this did is it pulled the cost from the estimate. So it was the, let's say, the original quote that you gave the client and that you had agreed, but there was a change that happened for whatever reason. So this change order is going to show the original versus the amended one. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that as you go along, there are just so many changes that you'd end up with paperwork and constant changes.
Yeah.
So many things involved in it.
And that's exactly the point, isn't it? It's because so many things change. You need to keep track of this, both for your business and for the homeowner. So you want it to be crystal clear for both of you, just, you know, you have profitable business practices, you have a good relationship with the client, and so that the client understands and has a place to refer to, like, okay, actually, yeah, this is increased, but it's because I changed my mind on the sink. I've paid extra, and all of this is just recorded for both parties to be able to refer to.
Also, if I can add something, then once you know, you want to turn this into an invoice, then you know all the costs are accurate. So you know, you do all the changes, but then at the end you just turn it into an invoice, you know, and it's all you know, ready for the client as well. I've got one more question as well, Vivi. What about new items? Can you create a change order for new items as well? Like if you want to charge for, you know, there is an extra item to go on the estimate.
Yeah. So one thing that's really great about Houzz, if it's a new line item, you're not really creating a change to an existing line item. You wouldn't do it the way that we did just now. This, I specifically selected line items that we're going to change. If you want something new, you can either create it in a new estimate and add new line items, or you can put it in like in a different document or in a change order from scratch.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. One really great thing about this as well, and it's the same across all of the documents on Houzz Pro, is there is a settings button here that lets you customize the columns and the rows that you're showing. So let's say that you toggle on this item description one. I'm going to click on save. So what that did is below the line item, there's now a text box. So this is particularly great because you can be as specific as you want in putting the reason behind the change. So if it was like a specific vendor, a specific material change, you can put that in this text box here, the reason for the change. And in that case, it's really clear for everyone. Perfect. Let's say that's done. What is this showing us now? So the total only adds up to 88.52. Of course, that's not the total of what I'm charging. The total is showing you the difference between what was agreed and what's been updated. So they'll only see the difference of what they have to pay. And the way to share this with your clients, you would click on the preview and share button. Has the exact same format as the other financial documents on Houzz. It's showing that breakdown. It'll have the description if you've chosen to include one. It'll show the totals, and then you click on that share button here and you send it out to your client. Any questions so far on the sharing process?
Is this specifically for, can this include services? So obviously you just showed that the sink was £50 more, but maybe us looking for that sink was another hour of work. So could we change our fees in there?
Absolutely. So the same way, let's actually go back to it. If we open that estimate, it works in the exact same way, basically. So let me open up an estimate. I think everything that I had added here was just products.
Yeah.
But in an estimate, you're able to add products and services. So if this line item was for a service, it would be in the exact same way. You'd need to approve it first. Yeah, you approve it because that's when the change order would activate. And then you select it. This is a tile, but if this was a service, it's the exact same way. You select the service, you click on create change order, and you update the service line item. Yeah, of course. going back to the main page of the project. Ooh, I clicked on something else. What I'm going to show now is basically how it looks like from a client's perspective and also where you can keep track of it. So if I just open up my projects, you'll notice that in the section that's called change orders, if I click into here, it's going to show me all the change orders that I've created on the software. So if I create a change order from scratch, or if I've created a change order in the way that we just previewed together, which was by line items, they're always going to show up here. So you have a detailed place to go to. And I know, Lisa, you mentioned so many changes happened. This is the place where you'd be able to find all of those changes registered. And then from the client perspective, if you're familiar with the client dashboard, it's the one-stop shop for the homeowner to get their information and updates about the project. I'm going to click on Preview Client Dashboard. This is the portal for the homeowners. And if I click into the Financial tab here, everything that has been shared with the client is going to show up here. So I've shared some estimates, some invoices, but they also have a specific section for change orders. So in this sense, it's crystal clear for everyone involved when there's a change that happens, how you're tackling it, and who's going to absorb the cost of that change.